it was crazy meeting this girl that I like kind of fell in love with and wrote a song about, and I put it on my MySpace page before there was like a MySpace music player. That's how kind of I started getting my music known to like my high school. I started playing backyard shows. It was crazy because I used MySpace as this tool to like gather people, you know, like I had like 60,000 friends in like 2006. It was crazy. And then there was this website called YouTube that totally changed my life. And it was a way for me to upload videos for free and have also people watch for free. Like you didn't have to join to watch. I didn't find out about subscribers until I hit 1,000. And by then I had like 10 videos, and the first one I ever did, I just hit my 12-year anniversary in September, and the first video was me, I'm facing this way on the piano, and the camera's over here. I'm not even looking at the camera. By the time I have 1,000 subscribers, these are people who actually like click this button, probably because they didn't know what it did. And then like I was literally talking to people who didn't talk back to me. And that to me was like so weird, but it felt so natural at the same time because talking to people who we didn't see, you know, was a thing. So then I began to kind of engage with this community that I was building, not knowing it would be a huge community one day. I don't feel like I'm part of the industry at all by this point. So I ended up going to Berklee and I auditioned in LA. Berklee is a big part of my journey because I was literally making videos almost every week. A lot of people 10 years ago at Berklee were in that mindset where it was like, I need to make sure everything is so perfect. When I was just like writing stuff and putting stuff out because I was used to that kind of, that grind, I guess, or even like engaging my community that way where like they wanted to hear something that I was writing. I was like, all right, cool, here it is. And in turn, you know, seeing the views and seeing the people at my shows who knew my songs, you know, and who sang the songs back to me, that to me was more fulfilling than like setting up something to be 100% successful when in fact you're not in charge of that, you know. Like after you release something like that, whether it's a YouTube cover or a track, you know, it's really up to everybody else to see if they loved it, you know. And in retrospect, I'm glad that I kind of took that rebellious kind of turn. I would tell people I was a full-time musician, even though the bulk of my revenue was not through music, it was more so through YouTube. But like for me, it was like a turn where I was like, okay, I can make money online. This is what I want to be. This is what I want to be perceived at as well. A musician who makes YouTube videos full-time. And I was doing it. I was playing shows all the time through colleges that would book me a lot of Asian American clubs. My first fans were a lot of Asian Americans, a lot of Filipino Americans, and I used to kind of be like hesitant about why that was, or almost even ashamed. I think a lot of like Asian Americans go through this weird kind of identity struggle where it's because like I have immigrant parents who sometimes maybe, you know, talking in an accent, I get a little like nervous around like when they're around white people at a store, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm ashamed of my mom talking this way. All these little nuances that like kind of went deep in my soul, and I was just like, okay, I don't know if I can keep playing for this just like Filipino American audience because that's all who shows up, right? Through the years, I realized that was so because of the lack of representation in the media at all with Asian Americans in general, even more so with Filipino Americans. Like the only people we had to see on TV that were like kind of positive role models were like the Yellow Power Ranger and like Jackie Chan, you know. And these are Chinese characters, you know what I mean? So even me as a Filipino, like that's so rare, you know, like nobody really to like look up to or reflect yourself or your story. I think it's important, like we have Crazy Rich Asians now, we have some kind of momentum where it's like, cool, we can see people normal without the karate stuff, which is great and valid, which is a story. Being a nurse is a story as well, like even though that's like a stereotype, but we have other stories as well, you know, like being musicians and being dancers now, which is cool. Like it's cool, like when Asians come into the room and they dress all cool, you're like, hey, you must be a dancer, you know what I mean? Instead of like, hey, you do kung fu, my dude, you know? So having more of a positive perspective on being Asian American really helped me on YouTube because there were a lot of people who would come up to me, especially guys who would come up to me and be like, I mean, they try to act cool at first. They're like, hey, dude, your song helped me get this girl, you know what I mean? Like, you know, but in turn, they'd really be like, hey man, but you truly, you inspired me to pick up the ukulele or the guitar or the piano, because I'd never seen anybody like me doing this. You know what I mean? So that was a big kind of like mind-blowing thing that I realized over the years.